Good afternoon, my name is Niko House, host of the political radio show Mikasa Sukasa, and I urge you all to join our One Follow $1 campaign where we show the mainstream media that we would no longer be needing their services, considering all they do is lie, deceive, and propagandize anyway. But you can just go and join our $1 One Follow campaign at the Patreon link below, and also turn on your notification bell to get updates when we drop a video. So, Marcos, or Marcus, however he wants to pronounce the damn name, the head of the Daily Kos, decided to drop a truth bomb on us. So as most of you all know, Donald Trump did pardon a sheriff who was pretty much doing a lot of illegal things. And surprisingly enough, he wasn't really charged for all of those illegal things, or not, I won't say he wasn't charged. He wasn't being held accountable for all the illegal things that he did, but more so just he was being held accountable for being in contempt of court. But that's irrelevant for now. But what Marcus said was that essentially it was black people's fault. It was minorities' fault, or people in color in general. It was our fault that Donald Trump was president. And I want to quote to you what he said on Twitter. White supremacist presidents will pardon other white supremacists. That's what happens when communities of color don't vote. You know, it's kind of interesting to me. I've noticed this pattern on the neoliberal left. Whenever things don't go their way, they blame people of color. It's we didn't get out to vote enough. We didn't campaign enough for their whatever white savior they have at the time. We didn't get out and like we didn't get out for Hillary Clinton like we got out for Barack Obama. Or hell, even sometimes on the Bernie left that kind of happens, where they say that enough people of color didn't vote for Bernie Sanders, which we found out later on was totally untrue. But just the neoliberal left is what I want to focus on right now. And I'm sick of this narrative that every time a white person that you don't like wins, it's the people of color, person of color. It's one of our faults. Let's be very clear about something. I'm not going to say it's really irrelevant to me whether or not Trump is a white supremacist. My tendency is that he's not necessarily a white supremacist, but he does say some overtly racist things. But I do think he's a narcissist and an egotist and a sociopath at times, but I don't think he's a white supremacist. I think he's a Trump supremacist, a Trumpemicist. Is that a thing? I think it's a thing. Anyway, but I want to focus on the fact that this man, instead of saying, well, if we would have addressed election fraud where primarily people of color are affected, then we perhaps wouldn't have ended up with this president that we did not like. Or if we would have addressed election fraud in general, or if we didn't try to hand the election over to Hillary Clinton, although her favorability ratings were at a historic low that no one has ever won from. It was that bad. Her favorability ratings in like the polls were like -16. If you're talking about the plus minus, it was like -16, whereas Bernie's was like +13. And in any of these scenarios, whether it's George Bush, whether it's Hillary Clinton, and then it would have been Donald Trump if Bernie Sanders would have won, because the statistics show people with higher favorability ratings almost always win the general election. So the DNC knew this. They had these statistics. Their polls, the poll that has been 100% accurate since 1970, said that Bernie Sanders was supposed to win the primary and the election. So let's forget all of that. Let's forget everything the Democratic Party did. Let's forget about the identity politics that they tried to play. You know, let's forget the fact that the Democratic Party literally uses minorities and then throws them out the window and then only calls us up. You know, they call us up whenever it's time to run against a white guy or a white woman, when they want to put a Kamala Harris in their face, when they want to put a Cory Booker in their face, when they want to put a Barack Obama even. when they want to use identity politics to win instead of substantive policy crafting and legislation that benefits the polity in general. Racism can be deduced to two things. It can be reduced, excuse me, to two things: education and interaction. Education and interaction. But education is a huge part of that, because we know, we've seen people who were racist before. They end up kind of educating themselves through whatever means, and end up becoming upstanding citizens who help people of color. Same thing with the experiential. Sometimes people's experiences change their racism. And of course, a good combination of both will ensure that you're not racist. So with policies, you can change both of those things. I won't go into detail about all that, but with policies, you can change both of those things. But the Democratic Party was scared to even mention racism until Bernie Sanders forced them to. But now communities of colors don't vote. So now apparently Trump, who is, according to Cost, the white supremacist, is to blame. We're to blame, the communities of color. How about the Democrats give the communities of color something to vote for instead of saying the lesser of two evils? Because let's be very clear. Now, as far as the deportation is concerned, Barack Obama has done far worse than Donald Trump has. Not even close yet. Not saying that he won't catch up, but I'm just saying it's not even close. As far as the communities of color are concerned, once again, it's not even what Hillary Clinton would have been better. We're going to forget about the super predator remarks. We're not going to forget about her backing up the crime bill. We're not going to, at least Trump faked like he was upset about the police officer killing that unarmed gentleman, that unarmed black man. At least he said it. I don't believe that he was necessarily sincere about it, but at least he pretended. Hillary was so calculated and coordinated, as the Democratic Party always tries to be, that she couldn't even say it, even when it was in her best interest. They use us. They use us. Then they blame us. Although they never want to actually come to us and employ us off of merit. Very rarely do they want to bring us into the upper echelon, if you will, off of merit. Only way we get a seat at the table is if we promise to sell out. You can keep that. This isn't me speaking. I'm telling you this from people who have worked at the highest levels of the Democratic Party. Presidential campaigns, worked at or near the DNC, work for the Democratic Party in their states. They don't want us to have a seat at the table unless we're willing to play neoliberal ball and be their little tokens. Token black people, token Latinas, token Latinos, whatever. I'd love to know your thoughts about this. Please like, subscribe, share, and always remember, find your balance. Peace.